Okay folks, today I'm going to show you around this vintage 471 blower. This is a really cool vintage blower. It came off of an old tea bucket. I bought it out of the Kansas City area, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, and I've just kind of been looking at it since because it's so cool. And but it's time to pass it on down the road, or at least put it up for sale. If someone wants to buy it, great. If not, I'll hold on to it. Anyway, super cool. This is like from early hot rod days. Like I said, it came off an old tea bucket, and it's awesome. It is like the very beginning of making blowers work on gas engines. You can see they have Zerk fittings on the back here to grease the gears as opposed to an aftermarket plate. And the blower adapter is made out of like steel, some kind of angle iron that someone made work. They welded it together, made the plate for the blower, and it has like a homemade blow-off valve here in the front, which has these kind of springs on it that pop out. You can see the base is a factory GM dual quad intake off an early Corvette. So you get the firing order here. I don't think I'll be able to show you the casting number, but I took a picture of it. It's got the winter snowflake and everything on it. And the upper blower assembly has a old Wyand single quad adapter on the top, and it looks like it's been painted a silver. I imagine at one point it was polished. In fact, you can kind of see some of the paint wearing away, and it likely was polished, but some of it's an old steel piece. Just really early hot rod stuff. The oil that goes into the blower itself actually hooks up to the factory oil pressure outlet on the front of the block. So that's real cool, primitive stuff there. And it spins really nice. Nothing to write home about there. It actually was running on a tea bucket when it came off before I bought it. When it came to me, the box was super heavy that it came in. So the box tore open. I lost some of the hardware. I think that's all that got lost though, so that's cool. It originally had a scoop that came with it, but it was like an 80s, you know, Mr. Gasket type of deal. So that I took off and sold. The carburetor stayed with the car because they were turning it back to naturally aspirated. Here is the idler pulley. I never had this set up, but it lines up with the water pump bolts here. So I don't know if you can see, but it lines up, but clearly needs the water pump installed to bring it out here. So I think the water pump plus these spacers and bolts probably make it work, and I imagine one of the spacers and bolts disappeared when the box ripped open. But the way I see it going down would be like this, although it doesn't look like those bolts are going to work. So the spacers might be it, the bolts might not. I really don't know, guys. So the hardware side you're going to have to figure out, but this idler clearly lines up with the belt that lines up with this crank pulley here. We lost one of the 6 crank pulley to blower pulley bolts, so you have to find that puppy, but no big deal. Everything's good here. Has the old Wyand belt, and there's a part number. I imagine you're not going to use this belt again, but at least you know what you're looking for. And anyway, super cool vintage piece. These 471 blowers are getting harder and harder to find. If you've been looking for one, something with this primitive hot rod stuff down to the bottom is just awesome. And yeah, I've had this mocked up for a long time on this old prototype small block here. The valve covers you can find on my other listings. I just listed them today. These are old Larson or Induction Engineering Moroso valve covers, 2-piece, like kind of wide. They work great with a blower just because they kind of follow its lines. And finally, if I'm going to list this scoop as well. I've had it mocked up with this old scoop on it for a long time, ever since I had it really. So this is, you know, an old, I forget the brand of it, but it's real deal. I forget if it's not Ilco, it's not Nixon, it might be Nixon. And then an 850 double pumper if you end up needing it. Anyway, really cool. So if you've been looking for a real deal vintage 471 blower, this is it. If for some reason you don't need the intake manifold because you want to run it on a different car, let me know. I'll work with you. The dual quad spacer bolts up to the factory, or the dual quad adapter here that hooks up to the dual quad manifold to make the blower work. It hooks up to the factory Corvette intake, and that very well could be the same as like old Cadillac bolt pattern or Buick nail head, etc. So if you want to run this on your old one, just confirm that the bolts or the carburetor spacing is the same, and this will bolt up to your intake just like it bolts up to the Chevrolet one. Anyway, guys, if you've been looking for one of these, don't miss it. They rarely come up for sale, especially in this awesome vintage condition. So thanks, guys.